Okay, thank you so much for being here with us. And Scott and I, as you know, we navigate the world very differently, and I consider us the sun and the moon and how we interchange with one another and with each other. So, as you know, I'm Vicki Warner, and I want to thank you for coming into my home and for sharing some information that's important to us and being on this journey with us. So Scott, he spends a lot of his attention on spirit, and that is, as we know, some of the most important things that we can do, but we all still reside on this physical life and this physical experience, and that's not always an easy journey. And I can share with you that when I was really young, I longed to be there. I longed for that instead of what was here. And what was here was very physically painful for me. And I think that I still long for that a great deal. But now that I have gained more tools in how to navigate this world a little bit better, it's been easier for me to navigate here and know that this is something that I can have in conjunction. So I let him do this, and I do this. So you'll see that a lot of what I do is more about emotional healing. I think emotional healing is one of the most important things we can do here, because in my opinion, emotions are the root of a lot of challenges that we have in our physical body, a lot of the challenges that we have in our relationships, and our mental stability. And so each one of my lessons really come in alignment with some form of emotional healing. And so I would like to think that that was part of the purpose of why I've had my own journeys with challenges that I've had. And the language of make your mess your message resonates for me. So that is my story of, I must have had a lot of emotional challenges to work through. But today I'm going to share some information about overwhelm. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I think that this is the time of year that we start to really feel that pile on. We've gone through the holidays, and when we start the new year, the new energy that comes in from the new year causes moments of reflection. And when we have these moments of reflection, it is a trajectory to cause us to look forward in how we're going to live the next year. So starting around January 1st, and we have that, you know, we've pumped up a little bit with the holidays, so exercise and getting the body back into more alignment, knowing that bathing suit season is coming down the pike. All of these things kind of cause us to be in a space where we want to do some physical health, relationships. We can reflect on how our relationships work. But each one of these things will layer our relationship with ourselves and how changes that we want to make. So that usually starts around January 1st, and I think in my relationship with my clients that I've worked with, there is a certain energy that will carry that buoyancy with us for a little bit. And it may be a few weeks, but as those few weeks, if we have not integrated certain habits or patterns that create a different lifestyle, we will see that those start to wane down. So there's three areas of identity. There's three areas that show up for in my relationship the most, and those are going to be. And I'm a girl, so I'm going to do this stick figure of a girl. So personal identity, our relationship with our finances, and then our daily routine. So these three areas seem to magnify the most. Usually it'll show up somewhere in our resolutions, something about who we are, our relationship with money, and then how we handle our day-to-day life. So there's other layers that I've studied quite a bit, and one of them is called the 9-star key. And it's not astrology, it's not numerology, but it's a combination, a little bit of some layers similar to that. But what it is it's a study of patterns of energy that we move through a 9-year cycle. And they take a lot, the Chinese calendar takes this information, similar to the 9-star key, that which actually originated, they found that it originated about 7,000 years ago in India. But it's phases of time that we go through, and these phases will go through a transition. It starts to end of our year, starts to come into it. Then we hit the New Year's resolution. But as we know, the Chinese calendar of the Chinese New Year isn't January 1st. It's usually the end of February, end of January, first part of February. So these time frames are transition time frames. And so when we've set a New Year's resolution, and then we see that we're fading down, that now we're in this window of opportunity where there's a little bit of chaos in our life, sense of overwhelm, and feeling like, we start to sabotage our New Year's resolutions or our journey that we were going to do, wondering if what we were giving up was worth worth the work that we're doing. So I know for me this is something that I've done quite a bit, but I want to ask the rest of you, how many of you said, I feel overwhelmed recently? Has any of that language shown up in any of your life? And usually in conjunction with the word overwhelm is this language of, my plate is full. I have a full plate. Does that resonate for anybody?
Yes.
So things that I've said is I don't have time for anything else. My plate feels so full. And I want to ask you, when you look at this, where is that plate? Because I don't see it physically, but we've all had that language, right? And so when we have that language, if it's not external, then it's going to be our language internally of where that plate is. And so I want to share that overwhelm is a building of emotions about the things that are on our plate. And so, let me use a different color here. So as you can see, art was clearly not what I was going to study. But this is our emotional plate here. And each one of those things that add up, and we could say are, chores, or running errands, taking care of family, that's a big one, taking care of family, personal maintenance. Each one of these things are going to layer aspects on our emotional plate. And that's the plate that we refer to. But the thing that I want to point out, it's not this that's the issue. We all have the same 24 hours a day, and in some form we're either in a space of stillness or a space of movement, but often what's right here is things that we haven't even addressed yet. There's things coming down in the future. There's things that we have on our emotional plate that is an issue that's coming up that has not had resolution yet. And in my own personal mentor that I was working with, and she's had to point this out a few times because it took me a while to get it, that I want to point out it's not this that's the issue, it's how we feel about this that's the issue. Does that make sense? So it's not that we have the responsibilities that is coming down. We all want to have interactions with people, and we like to have something that keeps us active or something that keeps us learning or something, to better ourselves. But it's not the item itself that is what's causing the sense of overwhelm or the emotional layering on the physical body. And as I'm really notorious for this, just this heaviness on the body, the shoulders carrying the burdens of the world from an emotional standpoint, chronic pain right through here, and just this layering of this thing. These are not what's causing this in me, it's how I feel about it. And I'm a feeler. I emotionally, I feel things really strongly, and these things really affect me a lot more than it would some other people. But since it's not this literal plate, it's going to be language that we have in our subconscious. And I want to share that there was a time in our life when we were going through some transitions. Scott was gone for an extended period. I was pregnant. We had a young child, our business was going through some transition, our finances were really struggling due to the situations that we were going through, and there's a lot of layers of things that were really distressing in our life at that time. And during that experience, I remember that my mom asked me, she says, honey, your plate just, and I'm like, I was crying. I said, Mom, my plate is so full. I just don't know how I can handle one more thing. I just don't know how I can take one more task on my emotional plate. And she was, in her loving energy, was trying to counsel me. And I remember so keenly, and I don't know if you remember, but I
do.
I was remembering, I said, Mom, I don't know what to do. I can't change the circumstances that I'm in right now, but it's such a challenging experience. And being the mom that was really trying to offer support, she said, honey, can you just hand it off to Jesus? Can you just hand it off to Jesus? And I closed my eyes and I said, Mom, it's so big I can't even lift it. It's so big that when I closed my eyes and I saw my emotional plate, it was like the size of a UFO. It was so enormous that I didn't have the strength to lift it, to even have the burdens be shared with Jesus, let alone handle what was going on with me. And so because of that, I really resonate with this energy of overwhelm. I really resonate with that emotion of feeling the heaviness and the burdens of life. So the feeling of being so big that it's just, I knew that there was energy that I needed to have about resolving the emotions. And I feel like once we can get to a point of having some resolution about how we feel with things, then we are capable to have more on our plate without the sense of overwhelm. And when these emotions that we can relate to, when we have these language, when even the simplest thing of somebody calling you and say, hey, can you do one thing for me? Or a child comes in and says, Mom, I need help with my homework, or somebody, and you just you go through this visceral response, I can't handle one more thing on my plate. And I know I've had that. I've had that multiple times. But I want to share with you some of the things that I know help with that emotional language. And so when we have this emotional baggage, what it's doing is layering pressure internally. And a lot of it is going to be in the subconscious mind. But as we know, you're going to feel a lot of it in the shoulders, lower back, feeling the weight of the world. Even the legs can have some response to that of not being able to stand on your own, not being able to hold and support yourself with what's going on. Gut response is all of this. But this is all this buildup of pressure, feeling from the outside world, and our thoughts that are going out is also building up pressure. And so in order to release how we feel about these emotions, we need to release the emotional baggage, the pressure that's going on in us. And so I'm going to just list a few things that I feel that help. And spending time in nature is really paramount. We're really blessed where we live, so we can spend some time and have the vista and the view, and that's really helpful for me. Meditation and yoga, obviously. One thing about that is the meditation can help calm the mind, and that's causing a lot of the problems. And then the stretching and the movement in the yoga, the way I talk about emotion is it's energy in motion. And so when we are able to move our body through physical exercise, or when you feel this pent-up pressure, I don't know about the rest of you, but sometimes when I feel that pent-up pressure, I need to clean, I need to do something, I just need to get out of my head, and I need to be physically active, and that's because there's pent-up pressure in my physical body or in my emotional body, and I need, so the language I use is in the emotional healing work that I relate to is I need to move that energy. So meditation and yoga, massage, again, is going to move the lymphatic system, and it's going to help move that energy. A bath, Exercise, again, is really good. Listening to music. Music has a rhythm, and obviously I would encourage it to be a high vibrating music, but movement from the music, it can raise our vibration and thus raise us above the challenges that we're feeling. And then another one is really important with our adrenal glands, and it takes such a hit that rest, just kind of decompress, shut out the world to rest, read inspirational message. Again, decluttering for me is really, it's good. I need to move energy that's stagnant and moving out. And then another one that we don't get the permission to do in the adult world, but children figured this out a long time ago. When they have so much energy stuck within them, and they can't handle it, and they're tired, and then mom's doing one more errand, and in and out of the car, and all of these things, the pressure is building up, and they know that they have to release that and not know how to do that, and so they throw a tantrum. They'll get on the floor, and they'll kick, and they'll move their arms, and they'll flail their body back, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to remove the energy that's built up pressure within their physical body, and they need the ability to move. And so I think it's a good idea. Throw a tantrum once in a while. Don't do it in public. You don't, because nobody's going to want to hang out with you. But move the body and get stuff out. Sometimes there's things that just need to be released. And I would recommend after this that you spend a little bit of time visiting with this beautiful woman, Veganzi here, because she's brilliant about emotional release. And she's taught me a lot about nutritional support and how the body, and she can go into much more detail, but how the emotions will crystallize in the body, and how you need a good mineral supplement. You need to dose up on minerals to help move that out. So when action steps, again, when the action step of doing something more feels like it's one more thing on our plate, that's when we're in a space of overwhelm where we need to do some adjustments. And feeling weighed down, and knowing that this emotion is held in the body. Another thing is unfinished emotions that are with relationships of the past that have not had resolution will weigh us down. And there's things that can weigh us down if we didn't have closure in a relationship. We play this cycle over and over and over and over and over, and we build up energy around us, sending energy out of the vibration of the thought we're trying to find resolution for. And the brain will be active in certain areas of the brain will be activated when there's something. These are repeated cycle, because that same area of love is trying to find closure, and it's trying to find where your gains and losses are. And when something doesn't have closure, you'll play it until you can find closure. And often, one of the stages of grief is when you have to tell your story. And if anybody's been with somebody that lost a partner after they've been with them for many, many years, and they're like, yeah, Grandma, I know, I heard the story, I heard the story. But what they're doing is they're telling the story because they need to have closure that they have not had before. They haven't been able to have the healing emotion. And so this is literally a brain response. There's something we don't have that even if we try to control it, it's a brain response where it's areas that are activated. And so some of the healing work that I really recommend, and if any of you have more questions about any of this, we can certainly go into more detail about each one of them. But one of them is called the Table of Influence. And we may not realize, especially when we go into our adult life and we marry or have started our own family, how many people in our past are still influencing us. And I'm going to be 46 this year, and I will tell you some of my hugest influence, which is embarrassing and not at all relevant to where I am today, is people I went to high school with. I will see them in my dreams. I will think about them, anything that I post on social media. I think about doing a class, and the first thing I think of is, what are they going to think about me, and are they still going to judge me? I didn't really fit in last time, and I'm certainly not, and I've changed a lot now, and I'm certainly further out there than any of them that I relate to now. So even when I was trying to fit in, I didn't fit in. And now that I'm not trying to fit in, I'm not fitting in, but I still go back to this language of people from high school and they're still part of my table of influence. And a lot of times I have to take an energy and go, okay, yeah, you've been demoted, yep, demoted, and keep